Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph will begin Daf Lamed Amud Beis, the Mishnah at the bottom. Zok the Mishnah, Nochri shehilva es Yisrael al chametz. A Nochri lent a Yid money, and his security was the chametz, of the Yid. So we're talking about a case over here, according to Rashi, according to most Rishonim. The Ramban argues, but the way Rashi explains it is the Nochri lent the money to the Yid. Security was the chametz. The loan was not due until after Pesach. But in the meantime, the chametz was deposited into the house, into the possession of the Nochri. So it was in his possession. And the loan only became due after Pesach. Achar Pesach muter b'hano. After Pesach, the chametz is muter b'hano. The chametz is muter b'hano after Pesach, because since the chametz is in the reshus of the Nochri, and he can now take possession of it if the loan is not paid, then we look at it, we view it as that the chametz belonged to the Nochri, and therefore it's not considered the chametz of the Yid, and he wasn't over Bal Yerab Yomi Masechet, and therefore it's muter b'hano. So if the Yid did not pay the loan, right, the loan was due after Pesach, and the Yid defaulted on the loan, he didn't pay it. So therefore, the chametz is viewed as it belongs to the Nochri, because since it was in his possession, and he didn't have to collect it, he has a security on it, and if the loan is not paid, it's automatically his. So therefore, if the loan is not paid, it's viewed as his, and it's not considered a chametz shavar of Pesach, and it's muter b'hano. So that's in that case. Now, if you have the reverse case, if you have the reverse case, that the Yisrael lent money to the Nochri, and the Yid had the chametz of the Nochri in his possession as security, then in that case, Achar Pesach also b'hano. So it's just the reverse. After Pesach, it's also b'hano because it's viewed as being the chametz of the Yisrael. If the guy defaulted on the loan, so it's viewed as being the chametz of the Yisrael, and it's chametz shavar of Pesach, it's also b'hano. Itmar Bal Chayiv. If a person who's a creditor is a Bal Chayiv and he holds a mortgage, Abaya Omar L'mafrehu Gaiva. He said if the loiva of the borrower defaults, if he doesn't pay the loan, then the creditor, and he has this mashkin, and he has this mortgage, L'mafrehu Gaiva. It's viewed as it belonged to him at the time of the loan. It's viewed as that he owned it from the time of the loan, not at the time of the default, not at the time when the loan was due and wasn't paid. It's viewed as it belonged to him at the time of the loan already. The way Nesivus explains it is the money that he lent, the Malva, Reuven lent money to Shimon. He lent him this money. Now, it's viewed as if the Shimon pays it back, if the Levi pays it back, it was a loan. But if he doesn't pay it back, it's viewed as it was the purchase price, the money that Reuven gave to Shimon is viewed as the purchase price for the mortgaged item. So therefore he owns it, and he owns it at the time of the loan. That is what Abaye says. Rav Omer, no. He says, Mikan Olabah who gave it. He only collects it from the time of the default. When the Malva forecloses, then he is deemed to be the owner, is assumed to be the owner, but not from the time of the loan. So the more explains. If we're talking in a case where the loiva, he was makdish the property, meaning it was his property, he gave it to the Malva as a mashkin, for a mortgage, and then after he gave it, he was makdish it, or v'zaven loiva, or he sold the property. So he already gave it as a security to the Malva, but then he was makdish or he sold it. Everyone is maida that the Malva can come and collect it, that he can collect it, and the loiva, well, the sale or the hektish of the loiva is not binding. Now, even according to Rav, who says that Mikano La'abo Gaiva will agree in this case because the loiva has no ability to sell or to be makdish it. He doesn't have the ability to do it because it's not in his reshus, and his ownership is restricted by the mortgage that he gave, by the security that he gave. So everyone is moed in such a case. The malva can come and collect it, and the malva can come and be paid. Now, you might ask, why does he have to be paid? If the leiva doesn't have the ability to be makdish it, why can the leiva be paid? Really, the answer is the mikra din, he does not have to be paid. Really, mikra din, the hektish is not a hektish. However, the Rabbanan were geyser that it shouldn't look like you can just take hektish without pidiyah. There's a nominal pidyon that's required, midrabanan. This nan, we learned in the Mishnah, Masechet dinner, is as on a dinner, at 1%, at 1/100th of the mana, and then he can be paid of that. So he can be paid in such a case. It's a nominal pidyon. Really, mikra din, it's not required because the leiva has no right to be makdish it. He has no ability to be makdish it, but there's a nominal pidyon. So everyone agrees in that case that the leiva does not have the ability to sell or to be makdish it. One qualification is the makdish, the hektish that we're talking about is kedushas domim. But if he would be makdish something kedushas aguf, would be a behem lamizbeach, then the kedushas aguf is mafkiya midei shibud. But if you're talking about kedushas domim, everybody agrees in such the case. So what's the machlekes? Ki pligi the zabin mal. Where's the machlekes is when the malva sold it, the kaddish malva, and the malva was makdish. He says, so therefore, if the leiva defaults on the loan, it turns out that retroactively it always belonged to him, and therefore his sale and his hektish are valid. So it came to the Matasim of Loy Parig, Loy Milslam Afraid, Mikar Bishus Avakoi. Since the time for payment came and it was not paid, it comes out according to Abaya that retroactively we see the Mafreya would always belong to the Malva, and therefore his sale is valid, his hektish is valid. So therefore, Ishus Avakoi Shaper Aktish, Shaper Zovin, and it was effective, his hektish and his sale. But Verava, Mikanol Habo, Verava says no. It's only Mikanol Haba, it's not retroactive. If the leiva had money, he would be able to pay it back, and Haba Masal Klubazuze, he could have then evicted the leiva. He could have taken him out and paid with money and got the property back. It comes out that only when he does not pay anymore, that he is defaulted and he is now not paying, then it comes out that the malva acquires it, but not retroactive, because until that time, until the time of the default of the loan, he always had the ability to pay money and get it back. Therefore, Rava holds it's mikanol haba, not lemafreya. V'rekta Gemara, umi amar Rava haki. Did Rava really say that the Baal Chayv is only goyim mikanol haba, then not lemafreya, only from the time of when it's due and on? Rami Bar Chama said the following: Reuven Shemachar Sadal Shimon Ba'achrayas. If Reuven sold a field to Shimon with a price, with a guarantee, meaning to say that if Reuven's creditors seize the field, Reuven, if he owes money to somebody, and his creditor now seizes that field, Reuven doesn't have any other money to pay, there's no other assets, he seizes that field, and there's guarantee that if that happens, Reuven sold the field to Shimon, that he will compensate him, he will then compensate for the price of the field. V'zakon of a milva. Now in this case, Shimon didn't pay for the field. He didn't have the money to pay for the field, so they made a kinyan, and he transferred the ownership. Now Shimon owes the money to Reuven, he owes the purchase price to Reuven. Umeis Reuven, and then Reuven died. Now Reuven died, that means that Shimon owes the money, the purchase price, he owes that money to the assignment. Also Baal Chayiv to Reuven v'taraf leMishim. Now Reuven owed money to, let's say, Levi, and he came and he seized the field, he collected that field from Shimon. That field had a shibud on it, it had a lien on it, and Levi came and he collected that field to satisfy his loan, and he collected that field from Shimon. Navasi Shimon upaisa b'zuzah. Now Shimon wanted to keep the field, so the amount that was owed to Levi, Shimon paid it out of pocket. Meaning, and Shimon's cheshbon was that therefore that should be considered like he now paid for the field. So he didn't pay yet for the field. He owed the money to Reuven, and now to Reuven's estate, for the price of the field. Well, by paying off Levi, now that'll satisfy his debt, his obligation for the purchase price of the field. Dina, the din is the also b'nei Reuven, the Yisaimim, the children of Reuven can come. Va'amr Shimon, they come to Shimon and say, come with the taina. They can say, Anan metaltalin shavak havil kabach. Our father left with you a metaltalin. That the money that you owed him was the metaltalin. He had a claim against you for metaltalin. So there was a claim of metaltalin. You owed the purchase price of the field. You owed, therefore, that money for the field. Now Levi comes. He's a Baal Chayv of our father. Well, he can't collect the money from us because a Baal Chayv cannot collect from metaltalin of the Yasmi. The metaltalin of Yasmi are not meshubah to the Baal Chayv. If our father, if Reuven had land, he had karka in this state, there was land there, Levi would be entitled to collect. There's no land, there's only metaltalin. Metaltalin is not meshubed. That money that you, Shimon, owed to our father Reuven and now to us is metaltalin. Levi has no claim on that. There's no lien on that. And therefore you shouldn't have paid it to him. So therefore the purchase price for the field you still owe us. And therefore you still have to pay us for the field. So that is a valid taina. V'amar Rava says he pikeach Shimon. If Shimon is a pikeach, what does he do? Magbe lehu ara. That what he does is he should say, fine, he still owes the purchase price of the land to the assignment. He should pay them with land. He should pay him with land that he has. And then he can collect it back. Because he, Shimon, has a claim because he bought the land b'achrayas. So therefore there's a claim against Reuven if the land gets seized. So now that field that got claimed by Levi. He paid off Levi. Now he's paying he's paying the purchase price of the land with his own land. Now that's karka, it's not metaltalin, and the karka of the Yisaimim is meshubah to the Baal Chayv. So v'hara gavel minay, the Omar Rav Nachman Yisaim shgav karka b'chayvus avim. If Yisaimim collected land to satisfy a debt of their father, Baal Chayv chayzer v'gayva isa mehem. The Baal Chayv can now collect it from them. Now Shimon is considered a Baal Chayv because he purchased the land b'achrayas. So therefore he's considered to be a Baal Chayv creditor. And Rav Nachman said if the Yisaimim collected karka, so we consider, as the Gemara will explain shortly, we consider this karka as always having been belonged to Reuven, to their father, and therefore the karka that the Yisaimim collected, it's as if Reuven had it. It's meshubad, therefore, to the Baal Chayv, and now Shimon can collect it, can take back that karka that he gave to them to pay off for the land. He can take it back. So, if you say that a Baal Chayv is goyva lima freya, like Abaya says, now we understand why that the creditor, the Baal Chayv, Shimon, can collect it back. Because the command, the government, it's as if it was collected in their father in Reuven's lifetime. So it's considered like he had the land, and therefore there's a shibud on it, and Shimon can collect it. But if you say but if you say like Rava, that the entitlement to collect is only on Mikanol Haba, so when the Shimon pays the assignment and they collect this land, it's not as if Reuven had the land. It's as if they bought the land right now. So if that's the case, then why can Shimon collect it back? It's considered should be as if the Yisaimim bought their own land. If Yisaimim bought land sometime after the father died, it's their land. There's no shibud on it. There's no lien or claim on it. If Simon had brought the land, there would be no shibud to the Balchayv. So doesn't this show you that, not like Rava, doesn't this show you that Balchayv is l'mafreya hu goyva, and that's why Shimon can collect the land back? The Gemara says no. Shiny Halsa, this is different. Because really, I'll tell you that Balchayv, generally speaking, is Mikanul Hobao Goyva. But over here, since we're dealing in a case where there is a creditor and a creditor of a creditor, it's different. Shiny Hasam Damarlu, because Shimon can say to the assignment, Ki hecha de mishtabel la'avuchan, just as my property is mishubet to your father, it's mishtabel namel balchayv da'avuchan. It's mishubet to the creditor of your father. Now, in this case over here, Shimon happens to be both a creditor of the father, and he is also a balchayv. He owes the money for the purchase price, the land he never paid for. So he owes that to the assignment. But he's also a creditor of the father because he bought the land by achrayas. So just like Shimon can say, just like my field is mishubed to your father because it's mishubed for the purchase price of the land, which I never paid for, but it's also mishubed to me because I'm a creditor of your father because I bought the land by achrayas, that if it ever gets seized, I can get it back. So therefore, in effect, what he's saying is that this normally, even if we would say that a balchayv is not l'mafrega, it's only mikanul haba. But in this case, as we'll see from the following limud, from Rabbi Nasa, we'll see that if there is a balchayv and a balchayv of a balchayv, then the ultimate balchayv, the one that the money is ultimately owed to, he has a claim right from the beginning. And he has a claim on that property. So Shimon is saying, yes, I owe the money to you, but your father owes money to me. I'm a creditor of your father. I bought this land by achrayas. So therefore, this land that I'm now paying to you is mishubah to you, but it was always mishubah to me because I'm a creditor of your father. So therefore, you have to pay it to me, and I can collect it back. And I will now demonstrate. Midram Nos. In the Sanya, we learn in the Bryce of Rabbi Nosson Aimer, where do we see that if a person has a claim of amana against another person, and this person has a claim against a third person? So where do we see that if Reuven has a claim of amana against Shimon, and Shimon has a claim against Levi of amana? So Shimon owes Reuven amana, but Levi owes Shimon amana. So Reuven has a claim of amana against Shimon. Shimon has a claim of amana against Levi. So how do you know that how do I know that Reuven can go directly to Levi and take the mana? We don't say that Reuven has to go to Shimon, get the mana, and then Shimon gets it from Levi. How do I know that Reuven can go directly to Levi, and therefore that we take the mana directly from Levi and give it to Reuven? The pasuk says, it's talking about a case of a person who is nishba, he makes a shua, and he's kaifer b'mammon that he owes somebody else. He stole some money and he's kaifer, he denies it, he makes a shua, he has to be karen v'chaimish. So the pasuk says, v'nosan ala asher asham loi. The Torah says that he has to pay the principal amount, l'asher asham loi. That the person who is literally means he's guilty. Now, it says the pasuk says v'nosan tamid leimer v'nosan l'asher asham loi. It doesn't say v'nosan l'asher neisha boy. It doesn't say that he gives it to his creditor. He gives it to the one l'asher asham loi, the one who ultimately owes the money. If it meant that you have to give it to the one who lent you the money, if it meant that Shimon has to pay Reuven, Reuven can collect from Shimon because the Reuven lent the money to Shimon, it should say that Shimon should pay Lasher Noishabai. But it says Lasher Osham. It says Asher Osham, who the guilt resides, the one who ultimately owes the money. Ultimately, in this case, Levi owes the money, because Levi owes Shimon, Shimon owes Reuven. So therefore, we can go directly to Levi. So he's considered to be a debtor. Reuven is considered to be a creditor of Levi. Here also, Shimon is saying to the sons, well, yes, I owe the money, and I owe the money, this land is Meshubah to you, but it's also, you're Meshubah to me, and your father is Meshubah to me because I bought the land ba'achrayas, and therefore I have a claim against this land, so therefore I can collect it back. So this is an exception to the case. But Rambam was saying in normal case, when you just have a creditor and a debtor, it's mikan ulahaba hu goyver. Tanan, the Gemara asks Kasha to Rabba from our Mishnah. It says, Nochri shilaves Yisrael al chametzah, a Nochri who lent a yid, and he had the guarantee was the yid's chametz. So he put his chametz as a guarantee of the loan. Achar Pesach mutar b'hana. After Pesach, it's mutar b'hana. If you tell me l'mafrehu goiva, I understand why it's mutar b'hana. Mutar b'hana. That's why it's mutar b'hana, because it's l'mafrehu goiva, and therefore, since the yid did not pay off the loan, we would say that l'mafreya retroactively it means that the chametz belonged to the nochri, and therefore it's not chametz sharal of a Pesach, and therefore it's mutar b'hana. So we understand it. That's why mutar b'hana. For that reason, it's mutar b'hana. But if you're telling me that it's mikan ulahabahu goiva, that means it only belongs to the nachri after the loan was defaulted, after the loan was due and it was not paid. That means that during Pesach it still belonged to the Yisrael. Well, then it is chametz sharal of a Pesach, so it should be also b'hana. It was in the Rishus of Yisrael during Pesach, so it should be chametz sharal Pesach and also b'hana. The Gemara says no, it's different over here. We're talking over here where that it was not only that there was a lien on the chametz. The Yisrael actually, he brought the chametz, he deposited the chametz and brought it to the rishus of the Nochri, meaning the Nochri had a mashkin on it, and therefore he was kained at the time that he deposited it into the rishus of the Nochri. The Nochri now is kained the mashkin and he owns it, and therefore it belongs to the Nochri. But otherwise, Rama says we would say that mikan ulahabahu hu goiva, not l'mafreya.